one day.
We're just gonna chill and have facial
We're
next
gonna
week.
come back like.
Alright, so today we're gonna talk about buying a car. So obviously this is kind of something that some of you might have already done, but definitely would be interested in, I would guess, okay? So we start out talking about the sticker price, which is in the window, which is called our manufacturer's suggested retail price, or the MSRP. Okay, so again, that's something that you gotta recognize on the quiz and the test. I know there is one of these questions on the semester test, because I just looked at the semester test. So this is the price that's in posted on the car or in the window or whatever. Do we always pay this price? Not necessarily, right? So what else is said on that little piece of paper that's in the window? What else do they tell you on that little piece of paper? Well, they tell you all the things that are, I guess, included on the vehicle that you're going to buy. So, example, does it have power windows, does it have power locks, sunroof, etc., etc. And some of those things might be included in the price. Some of those things might be something that was kind of added on. And so then, if you don't necessarily want those things, then you would have to go back to the manufacturer and say, well, I'm interested in this kind of car, but I don't want all these little things. I don't need leather seats, so on and so forth. So if you look at this now, there's a really, I guess, generic version of this on page 238. So if you open your book, please, we'll look at some things that they would consider. So we're looking at, on page 238, this is kind of a buyer's guide. This is for the MR35 sports sedan, which is a two-door. Notice now, they have three different versions of this vehicle: the STD, the CTM, and the PRM. Okay, so this is like the standard version, and then, there's just different versions. So when it looks like, or if you look at the bottom of the little chart, the code stands for standard options, optional options, and then it's definitely not available no matter what. So if you go through and you can see all of the things, some of them aren't available whatsoever, but some of them are optional. So if it's optional, you would assume that you would have to pay for those extra optional options. Okay? Notice that they also show you on the very, very bottom of that chart that there's the car warranty, all models at 12 months or 12,000 miles. And obviously, if you buy a new vehicle, you can always extend that warranty. And if you do or don't do that, or especially if you don't do that, they call you about every other day or every day, a couple times a day, it seems like, and it's a real annoyance.
When we
Right?
bought our Suburban, they called us twice a day. Didn't put a warranty on it.
I agree, because I'm in that boat too. I think I get a call at least once a day. Then if you go over to the right-hand side, on page 239, so basically they're talking about the same thing, and they're showing you now what you would have to pay for those optional things. So notice the model numbers. Obviously the CTM and the PRM are a little, I guess what you'd say, better version of it. So they might come out with some of the options automatically. Maybe it just, one has leather seats and those kind of things. But the starting price would be anywhere from $23,000 to $25,000. So it's kind of an upgrade as you get into the higher model. And you know about these kind of things, right? And then if you wanted to get any more extras or options on your car, you can go through this little chart, and they show you what you'd have to pay. So this is one of the things that you're going to look at Now, again, obviously, this is a little different from maybe going and shopping for yourself, but that's what's gonna happen in the first part. So they're gonna keep it real simple, but they're gonna try to show you that if you wanted to include some of these upgrades or options that you have to pay for. Okay? Turn the page. Now we talk about, and this is a bunch of vocabulary in this next little part. So, when we start talking about the cost of a new car, this is really, really important that you recognize the difference between these things. Okay, so the first one's the purchase price. This is the price agreed upon between the buyer and seller. This would include anything that you wanted to add on to it. Okay, so any of those options. But this price does not include the next few items in our list here. So the purchase price is basically what version of the car did you get, and did you get any of the upgrades or options? Okay? It does not include the sales tax. And this is really important. Make sure you do this first with respect to your purchase price. So you go to your purchase price, you find all of your extra things, and then you're going to do your sales tax. Do not do it at the very end. That's really important. Okay? The purchase price does not include your registration fees. Anytime that you buy a new car, you have to have license and registration, right? You always hear about that. If you get pulled over, you need to show that you are in ownership of that car, or if mom and dad are letting you use their car, essentially, even though you call it your car. Okay, that's what the license or the registration fee. You need to have a piece of paper that says that is the title of that vehicle is in your or your family's name. Otherwise, they could easily call that, say that it's stolen, and you could get arrested. Right? Okay, so registration fees, you have to pay that. What? If it's not your car. If you don't have the title.
So if you like doing your friend's car, you get drunk?
Legally, yeah.
But if you have the title, you wouldn't.
Right.
And the friend says it's okay.
And the friend says it's okay.
If you just take it, it probably.
Yeah. Then there's non-taxable items. Some of the extended warranties, you might not have to pay any taxes on it. And this all depends on what state you're in. And then any rebates. What's a rebate? Well, a rebate just kind of gets you into the business, right? Wherever they're at, they could say, well, if you use a certain amount of money, you get some kind of rebate. If you have a certain down payment or whatever. A rebate is some kind of discount that the dealer's getting you to come to their store, basically. That's a rebate. A big discount, sometimes not, but it's better than nothing. So then this all leads to the delivered price. Okay? So this is adding up the purchase price, your sales tax, your registration fees, and then any non-taxable items like extra warranties and stuff. But then you're also subtracting any rebates or discounts. Right? So again, purchase price was the first one. Now we have the delivered price. Okay? From there, then we talk about the down payment like we talked about in a house, buying a house. So the down payment's the same principle. You're going to have an amount of money, cash payment, for any money and any trades that you would have been a part of. Meaning, did you have a car to kind of negotiate with at the beginning? Did you bring your old car in and have them buy it from you? Okay? So then the balance due would be what the buyer has to pay after you figure out this down payment and take it off. And this is where then you would have to start thinking about, okay, do I have cash to pay for this? Or do I have to take whatever I have left remaining to a bank or a credit union or something, some kind of lender. Remember now, when you do this at a car dealership, the dealer might be able to set you up with some kind of a loan through their own process. So a lot of times car dealerships have their own kind of like banking part of their dealership that would help you out with loans and that kind of stuff. Okay? So then our delivered price is the amount of money minus my down payment. Okay, so this is really important, so let's look at this right away so we can look at all of the different vocabulary, I guess you would say. A good way of looking at some of this is on page 240, right in the dead middle of the page. They show the delivered price compared to the balance due and explain all of those things that we just went through. So if you're having trouble with this in the assignment, just go back to page 240 and look at those vocabulary words. All right? So remember, my sales tax has to happen right away on the purchase price. If you wait to do it after you add in all those other things, you're going to get a very different number. So let's look at this example before we look at used cars. So we're on the same page. Letter C, Tim Gardner and a car dealer agreed on a $20,067 price for a car. Tim then decided to buy an extended service warranty for $250. He used his old license plates but still had to pay registration and title fees of $134.85. A 4.5% state sales tax is charged on all purchases except warranties. Tim made a cash down payment of $6,000. Find the delivered price and the balance due for his purchase. So, first off, see where it says the sales tax was 4.5%. What number do I use to figure out my sales tax? The $20,067, right? So again, you always go to the agreed upon price. The agreed upon and the purchase price are basically the same thing. So I'm going to take my $20,067, and again, it's 4.5%, but when I do the math, this turns into moving it 2 places to the left again, right? So I'm going to take 20,000 times that decimal, and I get what? Somebody do it? $903.02.
Wouldn't we have to add, not the warranty, but the registration fees onto that?
You're going to do that after you figure out your sales tax.
I thought, don't you have to do sales tax on that too?
Nope.
Put it up, it says only cash, sales tax is charged on all purchases except warranties.
Right, but
So that doesn't.
purchases would be what you added on, like your options and stuff.
Okay.
So purchases, you're not really purchasing your title and your registration. That is something you have to have, but it's not a purchase. Okay, so, great question. If you weren't listening, Justice was asking about, do I need to include it? Now you are going to include it. So you take your purchase price, you find your sales tax, then you add it back on, plus your registration fees, $134.85, and your warranty. So if I add all of that stuff up, what else do we want to do?
Or would you add it?
You minus it.
We're going to add all this stuff up, and this is going to be our first answer to the question.
What's
Whatever.
your delivered?
Yeah, this is my delivered price. So this is again my purchase price.
Do you do taxes on the warranty every once in a while?
No.
Then why does it say except the warranties? Why does Why does it say that there? Why does it just single out warranties?
Good question. I don't know. Well, we got, I don't know.
What's your question?
Why does it single out warranties if?
Well, because I guess you would consider you're purchasing a warranty, okay? But they just, you'll never do that for your sales tax portion. So it is considered a purchase, quote unquote, but essentially you're not doing anything with that, with respect to your sales tax. So what'd you say here, Donald?
$21,354.87.
Okay, so this is my delivered price. And then what did it actually ask us? Then we had $6,000 down payment. Every single time that I have a down payment, I'm always going to what? Subtract. So my grand total is, and this is what? Okay? So when they talk about the balance due, what does that mean? It's what you're actually gonna pay, right? But realize, what I actually paid has to include that down payment also, right? So the down payment is cash, but then, so essentially, when we say the balance due or what I actually have to pay, this number right here is what we would take to the bank. I guess, if you were thinking about getting a loan, or you didn't have the money to actually pay for it, you had to set up some kind of payment plan, this is that amount. So the down payment is to show that you're going to be responsible enough to make your payments. If you're thinking about paying the whole thing, then obviously I wouldn't even have a down payment, and the delivered price is actually what I would have to owe to eventually pay it all off. But again, if I don't have $21,000 right offhand, then I am going to make a down payment and take this to the bank to get my loan. Then they would break that down into smaller and smaller prices. That makes sense? Yeah? Huh? Alright, so let's look at D. In D it says Lillian's purchase price for an economy car is $16,238. Sales tax is charged at 6% in her state. Plates, title, and other fees total $186. Lillian made a down payment of 10% of the purchase price of the car. Find the delivered price and the balance due. So, this one's a little bit more complicated just because you gotta do one more extra math part, right? And that's trying to figure out the down payment. Now, when they tell you that it's 10% of the purchase price, don't include the sales tax in that calculation. So in, what are we in, D, I think?
Yes.
What are we gonna do?
16,238.38.
16,238
Yeah.
times what?
0.06.
And this is to find what?
Sales tax.
Okay, this is to find sales tax, perfect.
You take that same number of times.
That's
Yeah.
So then, if you didn't hear what Molly said, I'm gonna take this same number times 0.1%, or 0.1, sorry, 10% turns into 0.1, and this is going to give me my what? This is going to be my down payment. Alright? So what do we get for the first one? How much is the sales tax?
974.28.
Say it again.
974.28.
And this should be just what, 1623.80?
Yep.
Okay, so, now what?
That's 186.79.
16,238 plus, gotta add my tax to it. What else?
Plus 186.
Cause that was my what? Taxes, fees, those kind of things. Then what? So this would be my what? This would be my delivered price. And then what do I do with my delivered price? Then minus 1623.80. Okay, and this is going to be my, what do they call it? Balance due. So you should have gotten, this was 17,398.28, and this is $15,774.48. Questions on any of that stuff? So again, the most important thing is to recognize or understand the vocabulary, right? So again, this is my purchase price. The purchase price is what you're going to come to the conclusion with the dealer or whoever you bought the car with. And that's going to include what you get in the car, meaning did you get tinted windows? Did you get power locks, power, that kind of stuff, heated seats, all the things that you actually wanted, not necessarily that you need, but you wanted, okay? And then the most important thing is, so every single time that you do one of these problems, the first thing that I would do is find the sales tax from that purchase price. So then I know that I'm not going to add or subtract anything else to it right away. Okay?
Will they ever give you the purchase price, like, with the added fees?
No. You mean with these fees in it?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Because then it's not your actual purchase price. Okay? So, questions there? So that was C and D. In E and F, it's basically the same thing, but now we're just talking about used car purchases. So what's the difference? Not really anything. They just, there might be some, different ways around some of the things because it's a used car, but basically you have the exact same thing. So in E and F, it says Arnold agreed to buy a 1-year-old car for $16,500 cash. Sales tax is 7% is charged on the sale. Other costs included license plates, title transfer. What was the total cost of the car? So basically, same exact thing, right? I'm going to take my $16,500 and multiply it by what? 7% or 0.07. Take that answer and then add it to the 16,500 and the 85 and the 47. $17,787 total. Okay. In F, basically, the only thing that changes in F is they throw in the 2-year warranty on this. So just remember that that's a purchase, yes, but it's not included until after you figure out your sales tax. Okay, so again, the first thing that I'm going to do in F would be to take 11,370 times the 5% sales tax. Then I'm going to add in the $200, add in whatever I got for my sales tax, and add in my registration cost of $129. Then, to figure out my down payment, I would take 25% of my $11,370. Always go back to the purchase price to find your sales tax and your down payment. That's before adding or subtracting anything. Okay. So, I don't know, they really didn't have to break it down into new purchases versus a used car, because essentially you do the exact same thing. Okay. Let's go back to the two charts and look at letters A and B. So in letter A, it says Loretta wants to buy the MR35 PRM model But she wants to include an alarm system and color match trim. What is the MSRP for this car? So first off, how much does the PRM model cost originally? $25.96, and then how much is an alarm system? $481, and for the colored matched trim, way down on the bottom, right? So basically, I'm just gonna take the 481, the 248, and add it to the 25,000. Piece of cake. Alright, basically the same thing in letter B, but now we start out with the CTM model, so we start out with 24,185. Then you're just gonna go through and pick out those things in your. Now, I think in the assignment, they try to get a little trickier and stuff, so just make sure that it is an option for what they are saying. And that goes back to the first chart on page 238. Okay? So, the most important thing again though is the vocabulary. And understanding what has to be added and subtracted. Okay? Any questions with any of that? So we'll actually talk a little bit more about this in one of the projects that we'll eventually do. And I think we'll probably get that started before Christmas break, and then we'll finish it after when we come back.
What kind of project?
You're gonna have